If you're loving this podcast, be sure to check out the full lineup. From news and local politics to sports and true crime. Find your next great listen right now at DuluthNewsTribune.com/podcasts. That's DuluthNewsTribune.com/podcasts.
Hello, Northlanders. It's Thursday, August 8th. I'm Wyatt Buckner, the Duluth News Tribune Minute, presented by Minnesota Power Employees Credit Union.
The average MPECU member saves over $785 a year in better rates and lower fees. And with MPECU, every ATM is your ATM. With their free checking program, you get ATM fee reimbursements at any ATM anywhere in the U.S. Check out Minnesota Power Employees Credit Union's services online at mpecu.com or visit their offices in downtown Duluth, Arrowhead Road, or Miller Trunk Highway.
Now here's a look at today's headlines. Squad cars arrived at Priley Circle shortly before 6 a.m. Wednesday, blocking the entrance to the Civic Center and surrounding a homeless encampment. John Otis, Duluth's Assistant Fire Chief of Life Safety, noted that encampment residents were given a week's advance notice that they would need to leave the site due to mounting health and public safety concerns. In July, police and fire personnel responded to 138 calls for service at Priley Circle, including reports of drug overdoses, disruptive behavior, assault, a tent fire, as well as incidents of public urination and defecation, resulting in unsanitary conditions. 2 people were arrested Wednesday morning, quote, for the charge of obstructing, end quote, according to a police department news release. James Wiseman, one of the displaced residents of the now-closed encampment, said he didn't know where he and his also homeless girlfriend would land. He said no one told him of any new arrangements, only that they must leave. Mike Strum, another resident of the encampment, was suffering from a back injury that he said made it difficult to walk. He said officers had no patience for his slow pace, however, even when he explained his physical disability. They just tore down his tent and threw his belongings away, he said. Michael J. Evans began to consolidate his belongings on a sidewalk as the encampment was dismantled. He said he hoped to sell or give away some of his possessions, acknowledging they would be difficult to carry on foot. As for where he might find a place to stay, Evans said he planned to make the rounds to local charities, including CHUM, the Damiano Center, and the Union Gospel Mission Service later that day, to see whether they could offer any help. City Administrator David Montgomery said they've been working with local service providers to find a temporary solution, while acknowledging that a more permanent housing solution is needed. As for the early hour of the sweep, Montgomery said the timing was motivated primarily by an interest in ensuring the safety of the public, city staff, and encampment residents. He noted that city staff were met with some hostility and foul language Monday, but kept their cool, working to de-escalate confrontations. An unusual sight greeted commuters on the Bong Bridge around 9 a.m. Thursday, August 1st. A large fountain or geyser of water bubbled up from the St. Louis River, reported to be 20 feet tall. The Douglas County Sheriff's Office responded to the call at 9:09 a.m. August 1st, according to a report by Deputy Dana Jensen. The culprit wasn't a northern variant of the Loch Ness Monster, a surfacing whale, or hydrothermal vent. It was caused by a hole in an underwater pipe. Beneath the St. Louis River, between Superior and Duluth, runs a section of a 20-mile pipeline that brings Lake Superior water to the Sappi paper mill in Cloquet. In service since 1969, the line begins in Lake Superior with 48-inch diameter pipes that feed into a pump station on Park Point. The pipes then narrow to 36 inches in diameter to travel under the Superior Bay, through Superior, and under the St. Louis River. The water is moved on to a pair of reservoirs in Minnesota and a second pumping station near Spirit Mountain, before narrowing to 30-inch diameter pipes for the final leg of the trip to the paper mill, which includes one more trip under the St. Louis River. The water travels through Duluth, Superior, Proctor, Midway, Thompson, and Cloquet. The problem August 1st was a roughly 8 to 10-inch hole in the top of the underwater pipe. Troubles with the underwater section of the water line are rare, with the last one occurring in 1988 in the same location. The pipeline is currently shut down until the spot can be repaired. A diver inspected the site Monday to find out what the problem was. No cost estimate was available. It's time now for this week's Business Beat with Duluth News Tribune business reporter Brielle Bredston.
2 community banks unite. The Superior-based National Bank of Commerce will acquire Riverwood Bank, formerly First Federal Bank, to expand its presence, customer service, and product offerings in northern and central Minnesota. The holding companies for each bank, Natcom Bankshares Inc. and Great River Holding Company, entered into a definitive agreement for Natcom to acquire Great River in an all-cash deal. The sale is expected to close later this year, with account conversions taking place in early 2025. The combined organization is expected to have approximately $2 billion in total assets with more than 250 employees across 12 counties throughout Wisconsin and Minnesota. The acquisition unlocks a larger combined legal lending limit for the bank to grow and become a bigger player in communities of Riverwood Bank's 11 existing branches. National Bank of Commerce also has locations in Duluth, Esco, Hermantown, Hibbing, Poplar, Solon Springs, and Superior. Radisson Hotel hits the market. The Radisson Hotel was recently listed for sale for $15.8 million by California-based Marcus & Millichap. Located at 505 West Superior Street, the 16-story full-service circular hotel has 196 rooms and 6 event spaces. It also hosts an indoor heated pool, hot tub, sauna, and business center. The top floor's rotating restaurant, Harbor 360, provides views of Duluth's hillside, city, harbor, and Lake Superior. It is also connected to the Skywalk system and has on-site parking. Built in 1970, the Radisson received $3 million in extensive repairs and restoration work in March of 2013 to fully replace the hotel's mechanical components after a water pipe burst. The seller, Empire 4 Duluth, LLC, has started the application process for historic tax credits, which could entice a new buyer thinking of future renovations. The seller is also open to leasing the restaurant to maintain management of the food and beverage operations. According to the listing, Radisson currently operates in conjunction with an adjacent building with 72 units, in which the seller will retain ownership and repurpose with the use outside of hospitality. I'm Brielle Bredston. Send me some more business tips at bbredston@duluthnews.com.
Thanks, Brielle. Now here's a look at your forecast brought from the News Tribune's Northlandia podcast.
Here's the forecast for the Duluth area this Thursday. A mix of sun and clouds today is expected across the region as winds turn breezy behind that cold front. Highs today only reach the upper 60s. Wind gusts up to 25 to 30 miles per hour are possible, along with perhaps a few showers here and there as well. Otherwise, we look partly to mostly clear tonight, with cooler temperatures still stuck around the mid-50s for lows. Friday sees a bit more sunshine, but otherwise still breezy winds and cool temperatures. Dry weather holds this weekend, with a gradual warm-up then next week. I'm Storm Tracker meteorologist Robert Daly.
Thank you to the Northlandia podcast for their support. The bi-weekly podcast explores curious and unique stories here in the Northland. The latest episode explores an Eveleth artist who sent his work to Eleanor Roosevelt. You can find that episode and others at DuluthNewsTribune.com or wherever you also get this podcast. Reporting for today's episode was done by Peter Passy, Maria Lockwood, and Brielle Bredston. Thank you for listening to Duluth News Tribune Minute. Have a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.